Hello, my name is Pat Lockhart, and I'm the founder of World Debating Forum. You know, a lot of people think that athletes are not very academically oriented, and that may be true in some cases. But we believe that if you put athletes into debating, that whole stigma is going to go away. Debating experience will give them lifelong skills so that they can succeed in school and then go on to be productive in society. Athletes can take their sports experiences with them after graduation, but debating will give them a range of cognitive skills that simply can't be learned in the sports realm. We have all kinds of evidence that shows how doctors, nurses, pharmacists, biologists, and other medicals and scientific professionals in training use debate in the class to boost their comprehension and knowledge base far above what they could achieve with individual study and practice. Look at how scientists use debate every day. Scientists sit and debate all day long on what needs to be done, what needs to be looked at differently. How do we make a vaccine that works and can be easily produced? Why is this approach better than that one? They're debating all day long. It's a proven fact that if you've had at least 1 year of some type of debating in school, you will be twice as successful at your chosen career as if you don't. That applies in life, in class, and in the professions. Whether or not the school has access to adequate sports facilities, and some schools don't, debating can be a great alternative competitive sport, although it's really not an alternative, more like a complement. In fact, debating is an intellectual sport. I'll argue that as long as you want. The main thing that both debating and sports will do for you is they will both teach you how to think and how to listen. To a young person without much experience, those two things may not sound very exciting. If they only knew how much of their success and happiness in life depends on exactly those two things. Kids who are more interested in sports than academics might literally scoff at the idea that debate could help them as much in life as sports, and maybe more. But if you find a great quarterback that has been through a debating system growing up, he's going to be a better quarterback. He's already got the mental acuity from the debating system, and that's why we think coaches should be looking at both. Let's say they have students in their sports system. They're struggling to keep their grades up so that they can keep playing their sport. It happens all the time, and the standard answer is to give them tutors or special classes where they don't have to learn anything. If we put them in a debating system, they'll probably have much better grades. They will think better. You want kids off the bench? Stick them in a debating program. If you stick them in a debating program, they will improve. Their mental acuity will pick up, their competitive nature will pick up, they will try harder and work harder. It's just the way it is. Debating and sports are both proven, extensively documented ways to increase your self-confidence. It is so odd that they don't seem to be combined programs in any school that we've found, and we've looked hard. Kids and parents need to know that debating can increase your self-confidence as much as being an outstanding athlete if you really get into it and spend some time in it, and especially if you start at a young age. Here's why debate and sports are such a natural combination. Debating builds your self-confidence so solidly that it makes you a much better football player, soccer player, tennis player, whatever your sport is. I can tell you that quick, accurate thinking is probably the most important thing in any sport. Soccer, for example. I'm not a soccer player, but I've watched a lot of players talk about their game, and this is what they say, that the ability to think is often more important to them in a game than their physical ability. The sport of sports and the sport of debating complement each other so perfectly that we're looking forward to working with athletics coaches and debate coaches as they discover the synergy. We're beginning to hear a lot of "why haven't we been doing this sooner" comments as we've been meeting with schools to discuss how they can implement a true debate across the curriculum program that includes the athletic department, student athletes and parents, along with the academic department's students and parents. In other words, let's make debating inclusive so that everyone, and maybe especially the student athletes, can benefit from learning to use debating techniques and skills in their classes to learn the core mandated subject matter and so much more. I believe that debating will help you be much better in sports. A lot of sports, some more than others, require cognitive acuity and concentration more by far than physical ability. Let me give you a couple of examples. Golf. Anyone who golfs knows about concentration and thinking ahead and planning. If you listen to Tiger Woods, he says 80% of the game is mental. Talk to any serious athlete, football, soccer, basketball, track and field, they will all tell you that so much of what they do depends on mental abilities. And then, how much cognitive ability do you need to play chess? If you're a chess player and you're not also engaged in debating, you might be making a mistake. You really should think about debating as well, because it will make you sharper, faster thinking on your feet. I mean, that's one thing about debaters, especially if you do what we love to do, impromptu debating in a classroom setting. Sometimes if somebody is coming at you with an extremely well-prepared argument that maybe you didn't even expect, you have to be able to think on your feet as fast as any quarterback being rushed by someone who's broken through the defense. You know what I'm saying? That's why we say that if debate can be put together with the sports program in a school, we believe that not just the debaters and the athletes together will benefit, but if the debate is in-class debate, then the whole school will benefit. And the great thing is that not only does a debate program not cost any serious money at all, but if your school and school district is funded based on performance, then you can take it to the bank that combining sports and debate will make big money for your school in terms of academic performance-based funding. We think that sports and debate should both have the same respect. They should both be a major part of everybody's education. How many kids go through the team sports system? Maybe 5 to 10% at most. And of the kids who play sports in school, how many end up making a living from that sport? A fraction of 1% of those who played in school. Well, in debating, it's about 80% of kids who debate in school who go on to make a good living with the skills they learn. So we ask, why shouldn't school athletic departments, who are as committed as the academic departments to seeing their kids succeed, work with the academic departments to ensure that kids who play sports get the benefits of debate through a cross-curriculum program of debate in class? Why not equip student athletes who too often get left behind academically with all the skills that research shows us convincingly that debate can teach? If instead of sitting in class bored or tired out or anxious about the upcoming game, what if student athletes were going from class to class along with other students and were participating in in-class debates in biology, in English, and in social studies? It's kind of hard to sit in the back of the class and daydream when the entire class is divided into groups for a debate. And once a kid gets involved, they start learning. They can't help it. And what's more, it's fun and competitive and full of team spirit and sportsmanlike conduct. It's also an environment where, like sports, you play hard but by the rules, and the goal is to win. So athletes are natural debaters, and debaters are natural competitors.